We're reading in Sefer Ha-Aggadah about the importance of Torah and the way the rabbis understood the study of Torah. It's on page 316. It's a statement that originally appears in the Talmud Masechet Kiddushin. It says this: Shanu Rabotenu v'samtem et devarai ele. This is a verse that we read every day in Kriyat Shema. V'samtem et devarai ele ale bavchem al nafshechem. Place those words on your heart and on your soul. So the rabbis explained that put those words is literally those words, the words of the Kriyat Shema, Ve'ahavta et Hashem Elohecha, the whole thing, to put it on scroll and roll it and put it in the tefillin, put it on your hand, which is parallel to the heart, and on your head, which is the mind or the soul. And that is based on what we call Torah Shebe'al Peh, the oral tradition that goes all the way back to Moshe on Mount Sinai, that he was told that's how you fulfill the obligation. In the 12th century, Rabbi Shmuel ben Meir, the grandson of Rashi, said that you could understand the words V'samtem et devarai ele, put my words on your heart and on your soul, as a metaphor. It doesn't mean literally. I mean, that's the pshat. Besides the halacha that we have and we keep, but the meaning of the verse is that you should always remember the words. And when the Torah says put it on your heart, it's a metaphor, like carry it on your heart. Like the Pasuk says in Shir HaShirim, in Song of Songs, at the end, the beloved tells her husband or her beloved, she says, Simeni kachotam ali becha, kachotam ali minicha. Put me as a ring on your right hand, as a seal on your heart. So obviously she doesn't mean that, but as a metaphor. Like Elvis says, come on and be my good luck charm. It's the same thing. Good luck charm is to show his love to her. So the rabbi now take the word v'samtem et devarai, put my words on your heart, and they break the word v'samtem into two words and do a wordplay on it. It says the word samtem could be also read as samtam, perfect medicine. So why is it a perfect medicine? Nimshalat Torah kesam Haim. The Torah is the elixir of life. It's the remedy for life, which is an interesting concept, right? The Torah can help us live a better life. But now here the Midrash brings an analogy. Mashal le'adam shika et beno maka gdola v'iniach lo retiya al makato. This is analogous to a man who beat his son and wounded him. So we're talking about, this was written about 2,000 years ago. Today, thank God, this is not a common practice. Not a common practice, it still happens, but not a common practice. But back then it would happen more. So, but the man, after he wounded his son, he came and he said, let me put a bandage on the wound with, and the retiyah is not just a regular bandage, it's come with the special concoction of what for them was antibiotics. Sometimes they would put honey, sometimes they put other things. And he tells his son, כל זמן שרתייה זו על מכתך, אכול מה שהנעתך ושתה מה שהנעתך, וחץ בין בחמים בין בצונן בין אתה מתיירא. As long as you have this bandage, you could eat whatever you want, you could drink whatever you want, you could take a shower, take a bath, with hot water, with cold water, nothing is going to happen to you. You're protected. There'll be no infection. But if you are going to remove it, it's going to become infected. So God tells Am Yisrael, the people of Israel, He says, I've created the evil inclination, barati yetzer hara, ubarati lo Torah tevalin. But there's a remedy for the evil inclination, which is the Torah. As long as you study Torah, you're not going to fall for the evil inclination. Now, the interesting thing about this whole analogy is that when we speak about the man wounding his son, what is it analogous to? What is it compared to? It is compared to life. Like the rabbi who wrote the Midrash says, life without the Torah is like being wounded. You're being hurt constantly. And the Torah is the remedy. So it's some sort of, I would say, a negative outlook on life. that the people say, "Oh, life is all suffering, life is all tragedies, or all obstacles and challenges, and only the Torah." So this is a little exaggerated, but it's understood. You have to have in mind that when this was written, it was after the destruction of the temple. So this comes already after 200 years of wars, civil wars, killings, rebellions, destruction of the temple, losses. The people look around them and they say, how are we ever going to get out of this situation? I mean, think today, when you think 70 years back to the end of World War II, not even, of course, during the Holocaust, people couldn't even think about the future. But even right after the Holocaust, in 1945 till 1948, did anyone could ever imagine that we're going to get out of the situation? For people, it was the end of the world. And with the establishment of the State of Israel, and then all the things that we went through, it took us a while to realize that we got out of the situation. But when you're in the thick of it, the first century of the Common Era, this is right after the destruction, you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You're stuck in the tunnel. So the rabbi do speak about it. It says God hit us, God wounded us. That's how there is criticism. They feel that they have been abandoned by God or struck by God. They're not happy. Right. So that is the rabbis used the psukim, the verse of the Torah, as a way to uplift people's spirit, and they throw into the mix everything. So they say, what are the problems that you have? What are the problems that we have? We have, each one of us has problems on many levels, on different levels. One person who really addressed it nicely is Franz Rosenzweig, who was a German Jewish philosopher in the 1900s. He almost converted to Christianity, but then last minute he changed his mind. Some say it's because he visited a small synagogue in France during World War I, and he changes during Yom Kippur. He changed his attitude, and he wrote a book called The Star of Redemption, Kochav HaGeula. And one of the things that he says there, he says that we have the redemption is parallel to the suffering that we have. So we have suffering and redemption on the personal level, on a national level, and on a global level, that of humanity, that of all humanity, and even the universe. But it says, on a personal level, we confront challenges like losses and death and health and financial problems, etc. On a national level, as Am Yisrael, we face the suffering of, back then it was very acute, very clear that Am Yisrael is being marginalized and being persecuted, etc. And on a global level, he says, we have to recognize that all of humanity, we don't live in a perfect world. The world is still full of suffering and death and diseases and troubles for all. And he says that we have a journey with that. Slowly we achieve some kind of redemption on each of these levels. And when we achieve full redemption, that not only us, not only our nation, but the whole world will be at a better place. People will not be discriminated against. People will not be marginalized. Then you know that Mashiach has come. So the rabbis put it all together. They say there are problems in our daily life. Today, in their day, the destruction of the temple, difficulties, financial difficulties. People used to plow their fields. Now we have to pay 50% or more taxes to the Romans. And besides that, you also have challenges that entice or distract a person on a daily basis. One wants to have a solid and meaningful relationship with his wife, but each one of them can be distracted by other people and lose their loyalty, betray each other, and have terrible consequences. Same thing with the children. One wants to educate his children to be on the right path, but It might fail. I mean, we even saw great scholars and rabbis and prophets in the Bible who failed with that. So everybody says you have all these problems. What do you do with that? How do you deal with the world? The world is not an easy place. And I'm sorry to tell you that everyone now is depressed. It's Friday morning, you want to go, have Shabbat, cook good food, right? So it puts you in a depressing mood. So that's what the rabbis say. If this is your outlook on life, cheer up because you have some Haim, you have a remedy which is the Torah. I mean, you don't have to get there. You can have a perspective of Torah and from the beginning not view everything as a disaster. Yeah, there are certain things in life that you don't fall into that. There are outliers, there are atrocities and disaster and all that. But in general, we could lead a good life. And they say the Torah is not more than a remedy, it's tevalin. Tevalin are spices. The rabbi said, now change your attitude towards life. It's not like you have a disease that needs to be cured. Life is not a disease that has to be cured. Because the only cure for the disease of life, God forbid, is death. Once, that's what Eov says, right? Job, who suffered so much, says, I wish I would already be in the grave. Why? Katon vegadol sham hu ve'eved hofshi me'adonav. He says, in the grave, the greatest person, the smallest person are all equal. The slave is a slave no more. That is where you're really free. That's how he feels. So that's a negative outlook on life. To look at life as a problem and death as a solution. But the rabbi said, no. Barati yetzara, barati lo Torah tvalin. There are many. The yetzara, the evil inclination, is not just as people think of. The desire, sexual desire, or desire for food, or for honor, greatness, financial prowess, etc. It's also the tzara that brings the evil inclination that brings people to kill each other, to fight against each other, to steal and rob and all that. God says there's a remedy for that, and that is the Torah. But again, not remedy, tvalin, spices. So the analogy is this: you have a dish that has no spices, rice that was cooked without salt. Even this basic spice salt, if you add it afterwards, it's not the same. So the rabbi says to approach the world without the perspective of Torah is to try to eat food without spices, without flavor. We find no flavor in it. There's no point. Why there's no point? Because I'm going to live and I'm going to die. My children are going to live, are going to die. So it's going to go on forever. But if you look from the perspective of Torah with the direction of redemption, that eventually you make the world better, then there is a purpose. Because even if it's not for me, but if I work within the framework of Torah that makes me a better person, teaches me what to do, and I make the world a better place. If each one of us leaves the world a better place than what we found it, then we know that eventually someone will really benefit from it. And we already can be happy that we live better than our forefathers did. And it's incumbent upon us to do even more. So that's the message of the rabbis here, to never give up hope. Did it work or didn't it? So when you look back then, when the rabbi said it, like I said, after the destruction, under the Romans and all that. But look where we are today. Yeah, it took time, but as a nation, Am Yisrael has prospered through many difficulties, many ups and downs, but eventually we came to where we are today as Am Yisrael, the state of Israel and all that, because of that kind of belief and never giving up hope.